Now that the mighty have fallen, who's going to watch over us, preach over us, take over us? Took our land, these statues represent those who stole from us. They owe us reparations for everything that they gained through us. These statues remind us of an apartheid legacy. My own story remains a mystery, a forgery, confusory, for I have been labeled a born free. My freedom is a dome freeze. Andilazi ibali lam, kodwa nifuna ndilazi elabo. Now that the mighty have fallen, now that the mighty have fallen, now that the mighty have fallen. The African child is victorious and the apartheid generation is getting nervous. They fear us. Bayasaba. The beautiful ones are born and we need an explanation. It's an abomination to idolize those who are part of your dehumanization. The beautiful ones are born and we need an explanation. It's an abomination to idolize those who are part of your dehumanization. Whose stories are we celebrating? Which legacies are our future generations celebrating? Or does it not matter? And why are we so self-erasing? Now that the mighty have fallen, now that the mighty have fallen, now that the mighty have fallen, now that the mighty have fallen.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Ntsiki Mazwai, thought-provoking, inspirational, and as I mentioned, enlightening. This is what we expect from her. Nothing less. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Siswam.
Also accompanied by Stephen Mlangeni, your guitarist, who played so beautifully for us. You might be hearing a little bit of utterances in the background. That's because as we're having this conversation and this performance, we're speaking live from a wreath-laying ceremony that's taking place just a stone's throw away from where we are this morning, which begs the question, Ntsiki, and this is a topic that you've been discussing via Twitter as well. Do we celebrate or do we mourn today?
We do not celebrate, we commemorate Freedom Youth Day. We do not celebrate that our youth had to die. We do not celebrate that our people were oppressed. We do not celebrate anything about apartheid. We are remembering a painful time, a tragic time, and it's important for our youth to be conscious about that. It's not about school uniform parties. It's about what have you got to give to the country.
Have we learned the lessons that that fateful day taught us as a people?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that we've been getting drunk for the past 21 years, and now the dust is starting to settle, and now we need to fully understand that 13-year-olds, 10-year-olds died. And in an ugly fashion, there was an army that was put out for children. That has never happened in the world. And we need to recognize that as South Africans, that it was a shame what happened.
How do we remember them? How would you like to see us honor them? And not only today, but going forward.
You know, I just wish the youth would take more responsibility. I feel as if June 16 is about what can you do. For instance, the youth should be maybe picking up litter in the communities, gathering themselves as the youth. The youth should not be using today to get drunk. The youth, we need to sit down. The statues issue, I mean, I just did the poem right now, The Mighty Have Fallen. I dedicate that to the youth of 76 and of 2015 because it's these young people that are brave enough to stand up for African people. So it's incredibly important that we're conscious of where we are and what's happening. The statues must fall. Winnie Mandela must rise. Chris Hani must rise. Steve Biko must rise. Our own African heroes must rise.
You are someone who has been labeled as quite controversial. You speak of the brave of 1976. You are quite brave in your utterances. You're looking towards making sure that it's not business as usual, that we rattle the status quo somewhat. What is it that you seek to achieve?
I seek to achieve the dismantling of this apartheid system that has affected our family structures, has affected economics, has affected our being. So we need to sit down and figure out what is it that they taught us that we need to unlearn. these things like religion and this concept of education. Can we not educate ourselves? Why is it that we have clung onto this notion of education that's so westernized? So there's a lot of things that we need to sit down and just dismantle apartheid. Sit down, look at Verwoerd, all his the structures and the departments of each thing. Our generation is the new leaders. So we need to find all the scientists, all the artists, all the politicians, all the strong ones. Everybody needs to group together now, and we need to start creating new systems that are going to work and create African solutions.
We'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid. There's never enough time to speak about these issues, but they're quite important. This is the discourse that's coming up among the young people. These are some of the conversations and the dialogues that they're having as they start to do some introspection, taking a look at themselves as a people and also the country that we live in. And this is what we hope to impart to you today. As you go about your day, just think about where we are. Think about the youth of 1976 and put them together, juxtapose them against the youth of 2015, and let's see where we are and where we can go. I'm going to leave you with a little bit more from Ntsiki Mazwai and accompanied, as I said, by her guitarist Stephen Mlangeni.
There were guns blazing, tear gas